Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you being with us this afternoon. Welcome to Idea Week, the week of virtual public engagement for the Lexington County Grow With Us comprehensive planning process. I hope you share my enthusiasm today during the kickoff of public input. My name is Holland Leger. I'm the Director of the Department of Planning and GIS for Lexington County. This department is tasked with the preparation and implementation of the comprehensive plan, a policy document intended to guide the growth and development of this county for generations to come. In order to do so, we have contracted with the Clarion and Associates team. In my opinion, the best private planning firm in the country, skilled in the preparation of long-range plans. Representing the firm, and here with me online today is project manager Leanne King. Leanne is a well-respected land use planner and professional colleague of mine who I have worked with on any number of projects over the last 10 years. Leanne has with her a robust team of professional experts in all of the various disciplines of planning, including transportation, land use, finance, economics, housing, zoning, land use law, and other fields such as geographic information systems, marketing, and public engagement to assist us through this process. We have an hour-long program of engagement to be followed by some online exercises by you to be undertaken to help us plan for the growth of this county in the next 10 to 20 years. Once you participate tonight, your task is not over. We have some homework for you, so don't forget about that. We'll explain that to you later. But with that said, I turn the floor over to Leanne King, who will guide you through the process this evening. And so with that, Leanne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Holland, and thank you all who have joined into tonight's virtual meeting. Again, this is this is 7 of 7 Idea Week meetings. So thank you all for joining us on our last night. We're going to be focusing a little bit on Planning Area 3 around Lexington here tonight. On the call, you'll see several folks, some of the faces that are on the screen and on your Zoom list that have the Grow With Us Lake Murray background here. These are many members of our project team who are going to be assisting, and I just want to do a little kind of round of applause. You guys and gals have done an excellent job this week pulling off all 7 meetings. So we're going to do some breakout discussions later in the meeting, and you'll see folks with the backgrounds on the project team joining you to assist, and we're happy to help throughout this. So use the chat function if you need to, if you have any questions as we move through tonight. There are folks monitoring that can help you if you have any difficulties. We're going to be doing several things on our meeting tonight. So here in just a moment, I'm going to give you a presentation about what a comprehensive plan is and some quick facts and trends that are important to consider when thinking about the future of Lexington County. We're also going to do some small group discussions on exploring kind of the vision for Lexington County in the future. This is a long-range planning effort looking out 20 years into the future. And so we want to think about what should Lexington County be in 20 years. Then we're going to do a polling exercise. So have your smartphone or your other device ready so that we can get some real-time responses from folks on a variety of issues and other questions that we have for you. And then finally, as Holland alluded to, this is really a 2-parter. These virtual meetings are a chance to engage and learn a little bit more about some of the facts and figures on the project and talk with your fellow residents about the future of Lexington County. But we also have an online questionnaire, which shouldn't take you very much time. It's probably easy to complete within 10 minutes. And that's the primary way that we're collecting inputs during this first round of engagement. So we want to encourage you to tell your friends, family, neighbors, colleagues to do that as well. Anyone who cares about the future of Lexington County, we encourage them to complete that online questionnaire, and we'll give you instructions for that later. So first, let's talk a little bit about comprehensive planning. The purpose of a comprehensive plan, as we see it, is really fourfold. The comprehensive plan for a community serves as a blueprint for the future that's laid out in the form of goals and action strategies. So everybody's on the same page in terms of where the county is heading. It's also a compass that guides decision making by your council, planning commission, other advisory boards. It can serve as a playbook for capital projects and investments within the community. It's also a marketing tool that helps articulate the community's vision and how the private sector can fit within that vision. We know that businesses and kind of folks looking to relocate to different areas are picking up community plans to get an understanding of where a community is heading and if it really fits with the vision of the place that they want to be investing in. In terms of Lexington County's comprehensive plan, we need to achieve 4 things. We know we need to identify the core community values as a foundation for the county's first modern comprehensive plan. The county does have a plan, but it's dated 1999, and that's a long time ago. The county was a much different place back then. So establishing the core community values for this process really starts with this idea week, and so we appreciate you plugging in and sharing your voice in this process. We also want to be planning for and responding to the pressures for growth that are being felt across the county in a whole host of different ways. And we know that that's really one of the big reasons that we're conducting this effort, is to think about how you want to manage growth in the future, because projections show you're going to continue to keep growing. We also want to make sure this is an inclusive process that's mindful of the concerns of folks like you, county council, staff, and community partners. And we want to satisfy state requirements. State of South Carolina actually requires that local governments have comprehensive plans, and we're going to be meeting those requirements with this effort. The Grow With Us comprehensive planning process is a 16-month process that started this past summer, and it's going to go into early 2022. We are, as you can see there with that little orange circle at the top, we are now in round 1. So this is really the kickoff for the process in terms of gathering ideas about the future. We will come back to you all, you and fellow residents, next summer with some growth alternatives, looking at different ways that the county might grow in the future and evaluating those against impacts of transportation, community character, land use, the fiscal bottom line of the county, and thinking about how different growth alternatives influence those concepts. Then we're going to be coming back at the end of next year and bringing a draft plan to you to take a look at and provide us comment on before it goes through the actual adoption process. So look forward to those round 2 and round 3 opportunities, and we hope you plug into those as well. Our approach to comprehensive planning is similar to what any business or organization does. We think about planning as a cycle, and really the comprehensive plan is the first step in that cycle. It sets the overarching policy direction for the community. It's long range, it thinks long term, which then sets the other steps in place to set more kind of annually or biannual specific work priorities that departments will undertake. Funding priorities through budgeting process and capital improvement planning, and then the actual implementing of those priorities through operational initiatives and capital projects. And over time, you can assess that progress and make sure you're actually achieving the outcomes that you set out within the comprehensive plan. And then probably in about 10 years or so, maybe a little sooner, depending on conditions, it'll be time for a relook at the plan and making sure that you're on the right trajectory and dealing with kind of new issues and conditions. So again, planning is a cycle. We want to make sure it's kind of always forward looking, but moving forward and dealing with the conditions that we have today and are expecting tomorrow. The plan for Lexington County will look at all of Lexington County, including the municipalities. So we are going to be, we're connecting with all of the municipalities in terms of looking at their future land use plans and the utilities that serve different areas. And we're also collecting inputs from residents throughout the county. So it's not just for folks that live in the unincorporated portions of the county. That being said, the actions and strategies that are going to be laid out in the plan are going to be specific to the Lexington County government and where they have formal jurisdiction, which is the unincorporated portions of the county. It's a large county, and long ago, several decades ago, former planners separated the county into 7 sub-planning areas to help assist in planning for different parts of the county, because it's not this, the conditions and contexts are very different in different parts of the county. So today we are meeting in sub-area planning 3, virtually, of course. That includes Lexington. And again, we've met with the other 6 sub-planning areas on previous days. Okay, so a little bit of information about Lexington County. So some key facts and trends here. No new news to you. We know that it's a really fast-growing county. You added about 80,000 new residents between 2000 and 2018. And the Central Midlands Council of Government predicts that the county is going to continue to grow and add another 150,000 residents over the next 20 years. That's one of the big questions we'll be looking at in this plan is where should that growth go? Where should those new homes and businesses be located, and what's that pattern for growth in the community? How we're going to serve it. Lexington County is slightly more diverse from a racial and ethnic standpoint than it was a decade ago, and it has a higher median income and educational attainment than South Carolina overall. Some of the growth has been happening within the municipalities. We know that there's 3 times as much municipal land as there was in the initial municipal charters, but I'll show you a chart here in a moment that shows that that growth has not really been consistent across the county and all the municipalities. 3/4 of the land in the county is either occupied by rural uses or unimproved residential land. So there's a lot of opportunity for potential change in land use over time. And that's something that we want to look at. Should we be directing growth to specific areas? And then finally, from an economic development standpoint, we know that healthcare is a big projected to be a big job generator for the Midlands region and Lexington County, and that the 5 fastest growing careers are all in personal health care. We know access to transportation is a major factor for employment centers, and we'll show you a map that shows job density in the county, and most of those jobs are clustered in the municipalities near the river, around the airport, and along interstates and major roads. In this process, we've learned that about half of county maintained roads are unpaved, and those are particularly concentrated in southwestern and southeastern parts of the county. And more than 220 miles have been petitioned for paving. Existing funding for those paving projects is not really sufficient to meet persistent demand. And so that's one thing we want to look at in this process is how should we manage that moving forward. The number of workers commuting by car has increased over time, and the amount of time that people are spending in their cars commuting to work has increased as well. Interestingly, demand for walking, biking, and transit infrastructure is growing, particularly in the eastern part of Lexington County near Columbia. Okay, so a little bit more about the population trends. This chart here shows us population growth between 2000, 2010, and 2018. In the blue are the incorporated municipal populations, so growth in the towns. Orange is growth in the unincorporated portions of the county, and the gray is the county total, so both of the orange and the blue together. And one thing that really struck us when we looked at this is that, 3/4 of the population of the county actually live in the unincorporated portions of Lexington County, not in municipalities. And I mentioned earlier that growth across the municipalities has not been consistent. It's, some places are higher growth than others. Town of Lexington here had a fairly high growth rate between 2000 and 2018. And as you can see here, that this table is organized by growth rate. Some communities actually depopulated during that time. So that's something to consider in thinking about growth in the future and where that might be located. Again, population projections show that by 2040, the county might reach 470,000 residents, adding 150,000 new folks. And we can kind of gauge that based on current growth patterns and land availability, that a large proportion of those new residents are likely going to be locating within the unincorporated areas of Lexington County. When we look at population density, this is probably not a surprise to most folks, definitely within the municipalities and along the eastern and central portions of the county are the most densely populated areas of the county. As you move west and south and to the north, they become less dense. When we look at the age, the distribution of residents of Lexington County, we kind of characterize Lexington County as being a family age. So we have a higher proportion of folks within their mid years and kind of youth, children years, and a lower proportion when we compare to the state of South Carolina of folks that are in their 20 to 24 age bracket, and then 65 to 84. So again, kind of a family age community. When we look at where people are coming from that move and relocate to Lexington County, what we learned was nearly 2/3 of folks are actually coming from somewhere else in South Carolina, primarily from Richland County and Kershaw County. The next highest states we see people relocating from are North Carolina, Georgia, New York, and Florida. This is that job density map that I mentioned earlier. So all of these little dots here and the clusters that you see are where there's kind of a higher density of jobs within the county. So again, a lot along the eastern and central portions of the county, particularly where a lot of the major transportation routes exist. And one thing that's really important to look at on this slide is kind of where people are moving to each day as they go to and from work. So worker inflow, those are workers that work within Lexington County but live outside of the county. We have about 73,000 of those folks that are coming in each day to work. Worker outflow, those are folks that live in the county but drive outside of the county to work each day, nearly 72,000 folks crossing outside the boundary. And then we have about 54,000 folks that live and work in Lexington County. So I'm sure you all have experienced some of the traffic congestion during peak hours, and that is a big proportion of why that happens, or a big reason why that happens, because of those different commuting patterns. Existing land use is an important component to our work. This is a map that shows the county's assessor data of different types of land uses that exist on the ground. This is our best estimate of those uses, and it tells us what the pattern of growth looks like today, where there's kind of rural and kind of rural uses and agricultural land, single family developments, commercial and industrial and institutional areas. When we look at the proportion of those different land uses, again, we see rural land uses and unimproved residential make up a little more than 70% of those land uses. And so we want to look at how these might change over time, and also how we might be planning ahead for other land uses that we might want to be promoting within the county. This is a zoom in on Area 3, so you can see the land use pattern here as it exists today. Again, a lot of the commercial and institutional and some industrial uses along the main corridors. And as you move away from those on the more local roads, you'll see a lot more of the kind of residential lands, rural uses, single family residential, etc. When we look at housing stock in Lexington County, one thing that really popped out to us was that it has a high proportion of single family detached housing and mobile homes, more so than when we compare to the state of South Carolina overall. And one question that kind of raised for us is there an opportunity or need for more types of housing within Lexington County? And we know that market preferences have changed and people are kind of wanting different product types. So that's something that we'll be kind of looking at within this process. I mentioned earlier that the total incorporated land within the county is 3 times what it was when the municipalities originated, and you can see that starting spot here in this chart. But there's been growth and annexation over time, particularly in kind of the early kind of World War II and post-World War II years, and then another kind of peak here in the 2000s. When we look at Area 3, you can see that the gray are the original municipal charters, and then you can see these colors here moving from the darker purple to the lighter yellow, telling you the decade with which that annexation occurred. So a lot of growth has occurred, particularly in West Columbia and Lexington here in recent years. Zoning and development regulations are something we're also going to be looking at during this process. I mentioned earlier that we're going to be looking at growth alternatives for the county. And one of the key pieces of information that we'll be looking at is what types of development are permitted today based on the current zoning and development regulations in the county. And the county regulates development through its zoning ordinance that has kind of two main components. One is actual zoning districts that are the kind of the main colors that cut across all of the parcels shown here. And then there are also street classifications, the kind of red and green and different colors that you see on the lines on the map here. And those determine what a property street frontage, is, and what types of land uses and development regulations will be applied within those properties. So again, we'll be looking at those as we're thinking through and working on the growth alternatives for the county, which will be an important part of kind of developing the future land use plan for the county. This is a zoom in here to area 3. So you can see a lot of the land within this area is in this restrictive development category. We have some intensive development, kind of this peachy color. And of course, the road designations play a role too that you can play a role too here in defining zoning here as well. All right, so that wraps up our data portion of the presentation, and I'm going to hand the baton over to our partner Sarah Bongiorno at Planning Next, who's going to walk us through the breakout rooms.
Great, thank you, Leanne. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we're going to switch gears here in just a minute, and we're going to split up into 4 smaller discussion groups called breakout rooms. And this will give you a chance to connect with some of your fellow neighbors and share ideas around a question prompt. We'll spend about 15 minutes in the breakout rooms having a discussion and sharing ideas. And then we'll bring everybody back to the main meeting to continue with some other input gathering through the polling exercises. So before we move into the breakout rooms though, just a bit of housekeeping. We have a couple etiquette reminders just to keep in mind. Different opinions are expected and they should be respected. There's a diversity of people in the county, so diversity of ideas in the small group should enrich the conversations and ideas. It's okay to challenge ideas, but personal attacks are not acceptable. And listening to others without interruption is an important opportunity here. And please ensure that all folks in your breakout room with you have a chance to share their ideas if they want to. And as Leanne said early on, we will have the planning team with our Lake Murray background and our logo. We will be signed into a room with you to kind of help facilitate the conversation and make sure everything's going okay if you have any issues. So at this point, we're going to bring up the question prompt. We do have a question we'd love for you to think about, and then when you get into your group, you can share your ideas. So tonight we're talking about planning area 3. So imagine this planning area of Lexington County in 20 years. Picture the people, events, and places here. What do you hope for the future of this area? Or if you have ideas about the county as a whole, that's fine as well. Just as a reminder, your chat function, if you go to your chat box, the question is there for reference, and it will be there when you get into your breakout rooms. So if you need that for reference, it's there. So give us just a second here. We're going to switch gears and we're going to put you into the breakout rooms, and then we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great time in your breakout session. We had a great discussion. Lots of good ideas and thoughts were shared in my breakout session. If you have other ideas or maybe something else comes to you throughout the rest of the meeting, feel free to use the chat function. You can continue to share ideas. I am going to switch gears now. If you all can get your smartphone or other device ready, I am going to switch gears and we're going to do some polling, which is pretty fun here in just a second. Okay, you should all be able to see this screen. And once you get your smartphone or device ready, open a web browser or however you get onto the internet and type in this link at the top here, www.menti, and that's MENTI.com. And when you get to that into that website, they'll prompt you for a code. And the code here is on the screen as well. It's 6828154. And I'm gonna just wait a second here. If anybody has any issues getting in, let me know. But oh, there's somebody found the first question. So the first question should pop up. We're doing some warm-up questions first, and then we'll get into some meatier questions. But the first question is, what is your favorite outdoor activity to do in Lexington County? And you have some choices there, and there is an other option. If there's something not on this list and you want to share it, feel free to put that into the chat. And I'm going to wait a few seconds as people get logged on and get to do the question. We've got about, I think, 26 or so folks on the call, so we'll see if we can get up a little bit, get as many people participating as possible here. It looks like we got a lot of hikers and hikers in the group here, and some swimmers.
And Sarah, I just want to add, for those of you that may not be participating, please do, because this is a really fun part of what we're doing tonight.
Okay, we're getting close here. I am going to advance to the next slide. If you're still getting yourself sorted in, don't worry, we'll have a few warm-up questions here, so we'll catch you up. So this next question is, were you born in Lexington County? So we know that maybe the hospital was across the boundary or something, but was your family living in Lexington County? Were you born and raised in Lexington County? We got a 4. Looks like 4 in the group. Okay, great. And how long have you lived in Lexington County? And there's an option if you don't live in the county, but you're joining because you work here, just care about the county, that's fine. You can indicate that. Looks like we got all the different tenures in the county represented here. Got a 4 over here at the 50 plus. That's good. All right. Okay, this one you're going to type it in. It's asking for your zip code. We're just trying to get a sense of participants and the geographical reach of those joining in tonight. So if you can type in your zip code, and if you're following along on the screen, you'll see it creating a word cloud there. Looks like 072 is the winner right now. Close behind with 073. Great. And this next one is asking what your age is. We like to understand how our participation matches the overall demographics of Lexington County. All right, that's good. We got all the age groups represented tonight too. That's great. We love, we even got an 18 to 20. That's the first time we've had an 18 to 24 someone in the age bracket there. So that's great. Okay. So this is a question says, why are you tuning into this meeting? And you can choose all that apply here. And we're just trying to get a sense of folks' perspectives and their sort of mindset as we're kicking off this engagement for the comp plan. We got a lot of people who want to be helpful to the planning process. That's great. And they have ideas and are curious. And we got a few skeptics, and that's okay. Hopefully we'll answer your questions and bring you along in the process. And that another reason, some folks selected that one. If you want to share that in the chat, we'd love to know more about that. So I'm going to bring up the planning area map that Leanne shared earlier this evening, just to remind you that we are here to talk about planning area 3 here in the middle around Lexington, and a couple of these questions that follow sort of reference that. So I wanted to bring that up to kind of remind everybody where we're at tonight. So why do you care about this planning area? And you can choose all that apply here. And there's also an other, other category as well. And feel free to use that to let us know any other ideas you have. Great. Got a lot of folks that live and work here and your family's here. And then this question is trying to get, just about movement across the county. So do you go to different parts of the county or planning areas on a daily or weekly basis? And I know that maybe you're not doing as much of that now due to the pandemic, but thinking about your more typical time frame, pre-COVID and post-COVID, we'll get there eventually, but thinking about that. So it looks like quite a few of you are moving about the county. All right, great. And then this was trying to get at commuting. So how many miles do you travel to get to work? And there's an option if you don't drive to work or you don't work, if you're tired, you can indicate that as well. And again, thinking about a more typical time when you're maybe you're working from home now, but pre-COVID movement. Okay, this is a fun one. So what is your favorite place to take visitors to show off Lexington County? So this is a word cloud once you can type it in, but try to keep your answers to one word or two words. It'll be a little easier to see on the screen. But yeah, where do you like to take visitors to show off the county? It's like Lake Murray is ahead there in the middle, but we see Riverwalk and it's moving around so fast I can't read it. Riverwalk, the Murray Dam, downtown, Main Street. Amphitheater. Zoo. Great. Thank you for that. So what are the two most important aspects of Lexington County that keep you living here? And you can choose two here. And I know this is hard because there's maybe a lot of different things that keep you here, but we really want to try to get to some priorities. So we're kind of asking you to choose the top two. You will see an option for something not on this list. So again, feel free to type that into the chat. And we can understand that a little bit more. It's like we got the people, community keeps a lot of folks here, the location in the region, and a work and job opportunity seem to be important to folks, and housing options also is pulling out ahead there. Great. So this next question is our last question. And it says, when you think about the future, select the top two topics you think need to be addressed for this planning area. And again, we're kind of wanting you to prioritize. So having you choose two here, and there is another category that you can share in the chat. It's like traffic and infrastructure and parks. And I know that's some stuff we heard about in my particular breakout session today, and others throughout the week. We've heard that for other planning areas as well. Great. Okay. Well, thank you for participating. I appreciate that. All of this input is going to be data-based and combined in with the other evening meetings, as other week meetings we've had this week. I'm going to switch gears here. Give me just a second to switch my screen. I'm now on the project website, and I wanted to just make sure, I think Holland and Leanne both mentioned this earlier, but this virtual meeting that you attended, we appreciate you joining in tonight and sharing your ideas in the breakout sessions and the polling, but that's just part one. We really need you to do some homework, I think as Holland called it, and head over to our project website, growwithuslexco.com, and there is a share your ideas button up here at the top. And when you go there, we've got an online questionnaire that has 4 parts. And we really need you to head over there and continue to provide input by participating in these online activities. These activities are a little bit meatier. They allow us to dig in a little bit deeper on some different topics and things. So we really want you to continue to participate, and also share this link, share the growwithuslexco.com website with friends, family, coworkers, share it on social media, get it out there as much as we really want as much participation on this website input page as we can. So I'm going to quickly just scroll through this so you can kind of see, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different activities on here. So there's four different sections. Part A is really focused on the county as a whole. There's 3 questions that we'd like you to give us your input on. And the first one's about value and what do you value most? We have a few options here. There isn't other options, so you can type in additional things. We also have 2 open-ended comment boxes here. I would like you to respond to a question about what do you want the county to focus on in the next 5 to 10 years, and what do you see as a big challenge that this plan should address for the county. And then after each section, there's a submit button. So you can do these different questionnaires in any order, and you can participate in one or all 4. We hope you will do all 4, but you can choose to participate how you see fit. Part B is specific to the 7 planning areas. So first you select a planning area, and then you can give us some input here on which topics you think are important. And we've got some here that we preloaded up, but then we have a box here that basically says anything else on your mind you'd like to share about for this planning area or the county as a whole. And then you can click another planning area, and you can continue to give us input for all 7 planning areas. There's also a reference map here, so if you're not quite sure where the boundary is or what area you want to talk about, you can reference this to get your bearings. This part C is a map-based activity, and there is some instructions here that you can read, but I'll quickly show you how it works. You can zoom in. This is an interactive map, and you can zoom in to a particular area. You can drop a little marker there, and then this comment box will pop up, and you can tell us if this area, in your opinion, is an issue or an opportunity. You can give it a name if there's a particular neighborhood or an intersection or something, and then this is most important, you can tell us why you marked this place. So, if maybe there's issue with traffic congestion along a certain piece of the corridor, or maybe a particular intersection, are you seeing opportunity for more green space in this area? Are you thinking more parks in a certain area? You can tell us in this box. You can hit submit this place, and then it will reset, and you can drop as many dots, and you can scroll around in the map and go to different areas and give us input. And then the part D is a chance for you to tell us a little bit about yourself with some simple demographic questions. This is really important though, because we really do want to understand how participation in this first round of engagement aligns with, compares to the overall demographics of Lexington County. So please take time to fill out these last few questions here. And then I did want to call your attention to number 7 here, additional comments. This is just an open-ended comment box. If there's something else on your mind, something else that you weren't able to share in any other avenue or channel, please, you can put it here in the additional comments box. So, and then you can hit the submit button. So, please take some time. If you have some time right now, we're about to wrap up this virtual meeting here. Please head over to the website and fill this out, share with your friends and family, and we want as many people to participate as possible. Here is the link. I think it's also in the chat somewhere. I think I saw it, and one of us can type it in there again. But growwithuslexico.com, and I'm going to turn it back over to Leanne to close us out. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sarah. So as Sarah mentioned, it's really important to get your feedback through that online questionnaire. So we're going to ask, if you do nothing else this week or this weekend, if you could please go to the website and complete that online questionnaire. And also, we're finding that the way that people are learning about this process and learning about ways to engage are from their friends and neighbors and colleagues. So we'd like to encourage you to invite 5 people that you know that care about the future of Lexington County to go to the website and complete the online questionnaire as well. There was a good question in here about how long that questionnaire is going to be open. It's scheduled to be open through October 30th. So you get a little bit more time to do it, but please make sure you jump on and complete it. If you want to go ahead and do it right now, you can take advantage of that time. We're actually going to stay on the line here on the Zoom call for the next 15 minutes or so. So you're welcome to jump over to the website and fill that out. If you have any questions, we will be hanging out here. You can rejoin or stay on and pose any questions that you might have in completing that. Also, if you have any additional thoughts or ideas that you want to share, you're welcome to do that now, like you did in the small group. You can share it through the chat, or you're welcome to talk to us directly. We're also here to answer any questions that you have. So glad to help you kind of understand a little better the process, or any particular aspects of Lexington County planning that might be helpful for you to know.